Thank you, everyone, for your patience. We have to wait till 7 p.m. to start our public meeting, so thank you for your patience. We're sitting here not just talking amongst ourselves, but we have to wait for the clock to tick to 7. So thank you for your patience. Good evening, everyone. Since 6 p.m. this evening, this Board of Education has been in closed session for discussion of lawfully closed meeting minutes, appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of a particular district has been filed or is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, and finally, collective negotiating matters between the district and its employees or their representatives. And with that, I would like to entertain a motion to come out of closed session, please. We have a motion and a second. And I would like to welcome all of you that are here. I'm sorry, all in favor? Aye, sorry. I'm so anxious, all these people that are sitting here waiting as we're sitting here. I'd like to welcome all of you this evening, those that are here and on the World Wide Web. We stream our meetings, our business meetings, and our earlier in the month meetings as well, our workshops. And I would like to just reiterate our mission, which is a living, breathing document to educate students to be self-directed learners, collaborative workers, complex thinkers, quality producers, and community contributors. And with that, I will ask our board secretary for a roll call.
Student ambassadors present, Kyle Hafke and Bryce Dunlap. Board members present, Mike Yench, Susan Price, Terry Fielden, Jackie Romberg, Susan Crotty, Donna Wanke, and Kristen Fitzgerald.
Thank you very much. And we will be joined by the Ranch View students for the Pledge of Allegiance, so please stand as you're able. Oh, I know, these chairs are bigger than the children.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sue Salnis. I'm the principal of Rancho View Elementary School, and these lovely ladies and gentlemen are members of our student council. They're going to lead us in the pledge, but first I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves to you.
Hi, my name is Braden and I'm in first grade. Hi, my name is Marin and I'm in second grade. My name is Claire and I'm in third grade.
My name is Reese Kennedy and I'm in fourth grade.
My name is Cooper Holmberg and I'm in fifth grade.
Everybody ready to lead us in the pledge? Here we go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Parents, if anyone of you would like to come forward and take pictures, please feel free to come on in the entrance right here and take your pictures.
These chairs are getting bigger. Oh, sorry. They might not share. Kids do.
Great, thank you.
Great job. Thank you. Awesome. Good to see you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Nice job.
Great job. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. And we have some more good news. Kids are always good news, but the good news, I will turn it over to our superintendent.
We have great news recognizing this evening some elementary students, some high school students, and one of our faculty members. I'd like to begin by asking Principal Masinski to come on up and join me for presentations. Come on up, Nick. Our first good news and our first recognition is recognition of our monthly Mission Maker Award. This is a way that we try to recognize students throughout our district for contributions they're making to our school community. And we have two students from Scott School that we're going to recognize today. Dom Peters, are you here? Why don't you come on up here with Principal Masinski? Great. Dom Peters is a fifth grade student at Scott School. Was an exemplary example of being a collaborative worker and self-directed learner at outdoor education this past week. Dom was very enthusiastic and helpful and supported his group members by cheering them on and offering encouragement when they were fearful of a new challenge. His zest for life was contagious, and he helped even the most reluctant participant catch the fun fever. Dom is a team player who demonstrated the attributes of collaboration and self-motivation consistently and deserves to be recognized. Not only does his leadership extend outside of the four walls of the classroom, Dom is a leader within the classroom on a frequent basis. He is responsible and a community contributor, helping his teacher to organize all the other students for a photo opportunity for a birthday bulletin board. He managed all of the materials, including the technology, organized the students, kept track of who was absent, and made certain no one was skipped. He was self-directed with the entire process and exceptionally collaborative. He is also kind to his peers and utilizes encouraging words. Dom shines as a leader, and he's one of this month's Mission Makers.
Hear that, Mom? I would like to clarify that that was written this past fall, so when he said we were at outdoor ed last week, when it was written, it was last
Well, when I read that, I thought to myself, well, that couldn't have been the best experience, but that's fine.
Party stock in Scott School.
Yep, we'll take a quick picture.
very much.
Dom, is there anyone here with you today that you'd like to recognize?
I would like to recognize Miss Bell and my mom and my sister and Miss Ryan and everyone here that's that's here to celebrate me.
Great job, Don.
Nice.
Go on and have a seat. Okay. Is Seth here? Okay. Come on up, Seth. Oh, there we go. All right, Seth, come on up here by Mr. Masinski. Seth Amagetsi, a fifth grade student at Scott School, exemplifies the mission strand of collaborative worker. He consistently encourages others and celebrates their successes. Seth creates a positive atmosphere among students and staff throughout Scott School. His outlook and attitude have impacted students in his class and throughout the building. An example of Seth's collaborative work is when participating in the mile run in PE class, Seth was encouraged by other students, and in turn, Seth began encouraging others to complete the run. This fostered the entire class running the mile in a positive, collaboratory way. Seth's positive attitude encourages others to try new things and to do their best, and I'm betting they ran the mile earlier this fall, too, not just recently.
No picture.
He's very shy. He's got his good friend Tanner Gaskin here who's been supporting him throughout not just the school year, but this evening, and mom and dad and brother Samuel are also here.
Perfect. You said it for me. Thank you. Okay. All good. Thanks.
To invite Principals Wiesbrook and Pops to now join me. Tonight we recognize District 203 high school students who were selected as candidates for the United States Presidential Scholars Program. The program was established in 1964 by executive order of the President to recognize and honor some of our nation's most distinguished graduating seniors on the basis of their accomplishments in many areas: academic and artistic success, leadership and involvement in school and the community. Ready? Yep.
I'm very proud to recognize 5 Naperville Central students receiving this distinguished award. I think all 5 are here. First, I'd like to recognize Riley Brookshire. And next, how about a nice round of applause for Joy Chu? And a nice recognition for Peter Hong. And a nice round of applause for Siki Liu. And finally, a nice round of applause for Sanjay Subramanian.
I can only guess that it's colder on the north side than it is here in central Naperville or the south side, because a lower percentage of our students are here this evening to be recognized. But I'd like to read the names of all of the students and then recognize those who are here. Paul Beckman, Elizabeth Chang, Theo Gabriel, Jessica Hu, I've had to read this name, this last name 4 times since I've been the principal, which has been quite a privilege. Anatoly Kuznetsov. Aliza Lader-Masik is with us this evening. Michael Sun is with us this evening. Also, Glenn Tang. Probably have to give the microphone though if you want. Amy Tian, Davis Zhang, and Tony Zhao. Thank you.
If anyone would like a photograph, please feel free to come into this area right here.
Perfect. Tomorrow. Draft some of this. No, try not to do one.
If you French is the worst.
Excuse me.
If you French is the worst class ever. You just, just right.
No, I gotta argue.
You guys. Going to rehearsal.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
It would now be my honor to invite Coach Iverson to come forward. Seems like this year, just about every board meeting, we're having some sort of recognition of the Naperville North girls cross country team, and tonight is no exception. And as one who would most likely profess more than I about the importance of collaboration and teamwork, it's probably a little difficult for you to stand here and be recognized as an individual this evening, but nonetheless, it's a recognition worthy of acknowledgement by the Board of Education also. The U.S. Track and Field and Cross Country Coaches Association announced state-by-state winners of its inaugural high school cross country coach of the year. One boys coach and one girls coach from each of the 50 states were honored for their success during the 2014 cross country season. As chosen by the association selection committee, I'd like to present to you Illinois Coach of the Year, Dan Iverson.
Great good news segment there. And I want to ask everyone if you'd like to stay. We understand you're busy. If you've come for a recognition of a student this evening, you're welcome to leave. This is a great time for you to leave. If you'd like to stay or you want to watch us stream online or on our local TV station later this week, but we so appreciate your coming this evening. The next section of our agenda is public comment, and I don't have any slips per se, but if there's anyone in the audience that would like to speak, if you're speaking on behalf of yourself, you have 3 minutes, or on behalf of a group, 5 minutes. And I don't think anybody is here to speak. So we will go on to communications, student ambassador reports.
All right.
My first question is, how do you decide who goes first? Did you decide that?
You just pointed at me and was like,
okay, just wondered.
Just this past weekend, the Naperville North chess team won the state championship, and also the Science Bowl team won the state championship, I think, this past week. Naperville North Pride held its Black History Month event on February 5th, and it was very well attended. And we had over 50 people, students, parents, and staff, perform at the event. This past weekend, Show Choir had another successful competition. They've been very successful lately. High Heeled Harmony, which is like the female group, won first place in their division. And then Entourage, which is the mixed group, placed third. And Dana Paolo won the Best Female Soloist. February 26th and March 2nd, Naperville North will be honoring two new alumni for the Learners to Leaders Award. And then also on February 26th, the J. Kyle Braid Leadership Organization will be holding our first ever movie night. So what it'll be is an opportunity for kids to come out and watch a movie in the field house, on the big screen there. And then recently, Naperville North and Naperville Central had a basketball game. The outcome wasn't as I hoped. But both schools raised about $2,000 for the Swifty Foundation. So I think that was really awesome for the district to come together in that type of way.
So last weekend on Valentine's Day, we had our winter dance, and kind of leading up to that, we had Mr. NCHS, which is really, really fun and exciting. And that was on Wednesday, and Danny Rogers at Naperville Central was crowned Mr. NCHS. And at our winter assembly, the students had an opportunity to pie a teacher in the face. And that was pretty cool, and it's also really interesting because you had to buy raffle tickets to get entered into that, and all the proceeds went to buy fleece to make blankets for Children's Memorial Hospital, and I'm pretty sure they raised over $1,000 for that. And so our spring sports are starting up soon, and we have information meetings popping up all over the weeks. And then we also have our AP registration, which is currently happening, so that's a stressful moment to find out all the AP tests you have to take. And then we also have our senior party coming up on February 28th, which is a huge thing, and pretty excited to go to that myself. And then along with that, we have our tryouts for the multicultural show coming up, and that's a really fun show to also go to. And then as he mentioned, we definitely won in basketball against North, so...
I would only point out that you've both failed to mention that the two schools are pitted against each other in about 12 minutes in the girls' basketball regional opening game. So maybe by the conclusion of this meeting, maybe Mr. Ross, I could ask you to monitor through the IHSA score zone occasionally a score for us. I hope not, but we'll see. That's entirely up to you, Mr. Ginch, and your colleagues.
Oh, great. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Written communication in board docs for your perusal. And our next agenda item, superintendent staff school report.
We have several reports. In the first one, just a brief update. Loaded in board docs for your review is a tentative board planning calendar. Just a preview of anticipated topics to be discussed in reports, discussion without action or discussion with action at the upcoming March and April Board of Education meetings. Of highlight, Mr. Wiesbrook will be back next month with his staff to present a school improvement update for Naperville Central. And then on March 16th, the administration plans to present the summary of the enrollment study to the Board of Education, followed in April by Dr. Coffrin coming to speak more in depth on the report. So again, this is a tentative board planning calendar subject to change. Our board agenda is posted 48 hours prior to our actual meeting. And now if we can move into 6.04, Terry, we'll go to the operating expenses overview. This evening, we'll go ahead and go to the first slide, and you can go ahead and take the next slide. I'll provide the bulk of the presentation and information of the narrative of the PowerPoint. Our Chief Financial Officer, Brad Kaufman, will save me if I misstep on something and help me maybe answer some questions you have. But we'll begin right here with the Focus 2020 Strategic Blueprint. As you know, our work in District 203 is guided by this blueprint, which is a plan for comprehensive improvement through 2020. Focus 2020 emerged as a result of community feedback, best practice, and our vision for the future, and we're confident that this blueprint will guide us in our work moving forward in our fulfillment of the district's mission statement. It is divided into 4 key strategic focus areas, and tonight we're going to be discussing and focusing on strategic focus number 3. Move to the next slide. Great. Each strategic focus includes a list of commitments which serve as our promises to the community, and Commitment 320A states that we will steward resources effectively to promote student learning. The financial environment of the district and our community is always changing, which requires us to constantly reevaluate and optimize the use of all of our resources. Financial stability ensures consistent funding for the programs and services necessary to provide high-quality education while ensuring that we're being fiscally responsible to our taxpayers and our community. And we do this by developing long-term financial projections, reviewing and monitoring projections for any changes that may occur, reducing or eliminating debt whenever possible, and safeguarding our assets while maximizing our investments. Move to the next slide. Today's financial realities sometimes make that a little bit more challenging than other times. When we presented a 5-year financial forecast to you in the fall, we had projected CPI to be at 1.7% for future years, and in future years our projection assumed CPI would return to its long-term average of about 2.2%. But as you know, CPI came in at just 0.8%, and every 1% difference in CPI equates to about $2.25 million more or less revenue for the district. So that reduction in CPI, or that lower rate of CPI, certainly had an impact on revenue for the district. The impact of general state aid funding proration has resulted in District 203 not receiving almost $3 million over the last 4 years in money from the state. And our financial projection already assumes the cost of pensions will be shifted to local districts. And for District 203, we're projecting that it'll cost approximately $600,000 per year until finally realized, depending on how it gets phased in, if it is to get phased in. And as you're aware, last year Senate Bill 16 would have meant that revenue from the state to District 203 would have been reduced by about $9.45 million. In this year's Senate Bill 1, which is a shell of the old Senate Bill 16, is focused on school funding reform, has already been introduced. Until the state runs its calculations, we'll not know what the full impact could be on District 203. So because of all of these factors, we do need to be good stewards of our resources and look closely at our operating expenses so that we can continue to monitor it and fulfill our commitment to the community. On the next slide. In January, we presented the Board of Education with an updated 5-year financial forecast. This new base model considers the following: the actual CPI of 0.8%, projected December 2015 and 2016 CPI at 1.5% and 1.7% respectively, before returning to the long-term average of 2.2%, and a reduction in the number of certified positions expected due to declining enrollment we're experiencing throughout the district. And this serves as our new base model for our financial forecast. Next slide. Important context for discussing our operating expenses is understanding how our net operating expenses are calculated, how they're determined. Our total net operating expenses for regular K-12 education are determined by beginning with our gross operating costs in each of the funds listed on this slide, and then backing out some expenses that the state does not consider to be a part of the school district's regular K-12 operations, and those are in the right column. Then that equals our total net operating expenses for our regular K-12 programming. Another way to look at expenses is by looking at how much we spend on average to educate students in District 203. Next slide. That is a rate that is calculated by the state from information we're required to submit annually. It is determined by dividing our total net operating expenses for regular K-12 program by our average daily attendance. Note that it's our average daily attendance, not our enrollment. It's the total number of students in attendance on a typical day, which for us is usually right around the 96% level. So again, average daily attendance is not our enrollment. We don't have a 0.2 student enrolled here in our school district. On the next slide, you can see that there's variance throughout the state on the average operating expense per pupil. And one of the most useful comparisons for us, though, is when we look at what our benchmark districts are doing. Those are the districts we also look at on academic performance, and you can see those listed there. So when we talk about benchmark districts in the table, we've listed for you, in addition to our district, that average. Interesting to note that the range across the state goes from just above $6,000 per student to more than $28,000 per student when you look at operating expenses per pupil throughout our state. This table is just another way to look at that, and as you can see, that when we look at our operating expense per pupil among our benchmark districts, we're the third highest of the 8 benchmark districts. On the next slide, in our last 10 years, our operating expense per pupil has continued to increase. And as we go through the slides, some important reasons on why that has happened will be a little bit clearer. But if you look on the next slide, if you think about our financial projection, not our budgets, but our projection, if no changes were to be made in our operating expenses, that rate per pupil would continue to climb or continue to increase. So again, I would caution you that this is based off of a projection, not off of actual budgets for years moving forward. As illustrated earlier, one of the biggest factors in determining our operating expense per pupil is the average daily student attendance. It serves as the denominator, or the bottom part of that equation that I showed you on one of our earlier slides. And as our enrollment, which is the red line, has declined, so has our average daily attendance, the blue line. And in a bit of a preview of what we'll show you in March, based on Dr. Coffrin's work, we expect our overall student enrollment will continue to decline. One of the projections in the enrollment study we will present in March suggests that our enrollment could decline to about 15,600 students by 2020. We'll have more on that, obviously, in March and April. But despite all of these challenges that we have faced regarding uncertain revenue, we have a good history of making adjustments to our expenses to ensure that we come to the Board of Education with a balanced budget. We have a very little debt when we look at our comparison to other districts, a lot of our benchmark districts, and have planned with you to pay off the 2008 bond in 2018 when they are callable, resulting in a permanent savings to our taxpayers. We continue to make decisions that we think reflect the values of our community and provide the best possible learning environment for our students. So over the next several slides, I won't read the whole list to you. We can move through, then we can go to the next one. You see a number of things that we have introduced over the past several years to ensure that we are improving our program of studies that we're offering to our students to ensure that we are providing the best education that we can in each of our classrooms in each of our schools. So our commitment, again, remains to be to focus effectively on promoting student learning by stewarding our resources well. Indicators of accomplishment is that we continue to maintain a 10% cash reserve as established in board policy, maintaining a State of Illinois financial profile score of recognition, which is their highest rating, and to maintain a AAA bond rating. And we'd also like to suggest that our target will continue to be to present you with a balanced budget for your action as we bring budgets forward. Some years that's going to be prove trickier than others, but when we look at expenses, revenue and expenses, we feel confident that can remain our target, and we will work with you and talk with you if we ever believe that that can't be. So with that, I'd invite conversation among the board, questions that you may have for Brad and I, or comments that you'd like to make.
Thank you, Dan, for all the detail. So I think I can't only speak for myself, but would like the rest of the board to add their comments. But as we're looking at the operating expenses continuing to increase above even our benchmark, most of our benchmark districts, not all of them, and our average daily attendance decreasing and seeing that it's going to continue to decrease, I think we need to take a closer look at our operating expenses and see where we can trim those so that we can make that gap smaller. And without doing anything too drastic, but just looking at them closely in detail to see what we could do to, but that's a discussion that I think I'd like to hear the rest of the board members.
Thanks for all the detail. I know this has been sort of alluded to in a number of our conversations that we've had, and a number of the board members have expressed questions and concerns about it. So we really appreciate, speaking for myself, I really appreciate, but I think the whole board appreciates you really taking all the time to look at all the details here and help us understand. And it seems like you did a great job of outlining the difficulties that, of our climate. It seems a virtual certainty that we will not have additional federal or state funds. Certainly not additional, and probably likely that we would have less. And that combined with a number of the other factors, the CPI that you mentioned, it's a difficult time for school districts. And it seems like moving forward, especially given our lower per pupil, our lower amount of pupils, we're not able to afford the trend going upwards. It seems we have a responsibility to look at our expenditures and figure out how we can reduce there in order to, adjust those numbers. I am thrilled looking at your long list of the things that we've been able to do for our students, highlighting some things that our benchmark districts don't have, some of those things like learning coaches and those kinds of things. And I think those have been smart expenditures. But knowing that we may have a reduction of state funds, it's always something that I think is important for the board and the administration to look at how we can make our programs be sustainable. Are we increasing, and will it be sustainable if we do that? And should we pare back so that what we have is sustainable? I think some of our benchmark districts have been able to make reductions with the least impact on students, and I guess that would be my hope and my actually it's my certainty that you would be able to have ideas for us that would have the least amount of impact on our students in terms of how we can reduce and look at things differently perhaps, but continue to sustain our results, because that's where I think we have also distinguished ourselves among our other benchmarks. We have great growth, we have great scores, and we want to see those sustain, and that's the important goal of our district. So I think I would be interested to hear ideas that you have, whether it's based on our benchmarks or others. We may have completely different ideas that would help us to be able to sustain those great results, but still be able to pare back our expenditures.
Well, first of all, I think as a district, we've done a really good job over the years of keeping the expenses in line and holding it with our revenues. And that started with Dave Zager, and the board has done a good job of monitoring that. And we have Brad Kaufman now, so if things go south, I guess we can blame Brad. But I think what's important to realize, though, is that Brad has got his hands around what the expenses are and how we're monitoring things going forward. And I think we're in a good position of having to look at things and being able to choose and control our own destiny and where we can make some adjustments and still hold the line and not go into deficit spending, which is where most districts end up. And we're being more proactive in looking at that now at this stage as opposed to waiting. To your comments on what Rauner is going to do, it's an interesting point of discussion. I did get to spend some time in Springfield today for Leadership Day, and just so I get this right, Governor Rauner did not show up to speak today. He did send his new Secretary of the new Deputy for Education, who is a proponent of charter schools. So, and she spoke very highly about charter schools, even though some board members got up and spoke about how charter schools are taking away money from other districts. So I think it's something to watch what may happen in Springfield. The governor gives his address tomorrow on the budget and hopefully get some inkling on what he might do, but I think there is cause for concern for that, which would give us even more reason to hang on to our own funds and give some scrutiny with that. But I think the positive thing here is that we do have the right people in charge who can control the destiny of the district and really continue the high quality of education we expect here in Naperville.
A couple things. A lot of it for the audience because I'm pretty sure the board knows all this. The genesis for this was when we had our legislators breakfast in last fall, and we saw some side-by-side comparisons of our district's per student, per pupil spending versus some of our neighboring districts. And it was, I think it was a wake-up call for a lot of us. We were surprised that we had risen so much. 5 years ago, we were very proud of the fact that we were delivering the results we do now at the state average, or roughly the state average, and all of a sudden we managed to sneak above it. Dan talked about the fact that our denominator has gone, is decreased, which increases that number. As we decrease in students, obviously, unless we change stuff, the per pupil cost is going to go up significantly. We understand that. But it's forced us to take a closer look at the numbers, and like Terry said, I think in a good way, because we can be proactive. When we approve the budget for next year, I want everybody to remember, we have a surplus. So, and I think the last bullet on Dan's slides is the important one. The target is that we always have a balanced budget, and that will obviously keep us safe. Some of the things that he, generously kind of didn't emphasize, which I think are important, are when we compare ourselves to our neighboring districts, where we have spent a lot of money is investing in the future. In our facilities, for example, we're getting ready to approve, roughly, over $2 million in maintenance costs that will keep us, moving along without, we could cancel all that and save a couple $1 million. There's nothing that would stop a student from being educated. Whether we're talking about asphalt, whether we're talking about roofs, whether we're talking about HVAC, nothing is broken. but we're making sure it doesn't break for the next 20 or 30 years. And that's the ability we have right now, and that costs money. And we have the money, and we're investing it wisely. The same thing goes into the education of our students. We have our average class size is over 20% lower than some of our neighboring districts. That is an investment we are choosing to make. And as long as we have the resources, I will keep on supporting that type of investment. The one thing I will say to kind of bring this to a close is I would ask the board members more specifically. Donna brought up that she wanted a conversation, and I agree with it. More specifically, we have the superintendent's target to have a balanced budget. We have a policy to have a 10% reserve. I'm wondering if maybe we should have a policy that the superintendent's mandate is to always present us with a balanced budget. And we can write the language barring, changes from the state. But I think if we ourselves, on the things we can control, always have a balanced budget, then in the long run, we won't have any trouble. And that will give the superintendent and his staff, the board's not only sense, but direction that, we expect a balanced budget. And I think that's what the community expects. They've invested a lot in us. They've given us a lot of trust, and I think they have confidence in us, and we need to keep that confidence. And I think balanced budgets going forward are the way to go. And I would suggest that maybe we should have a policy that incorporates that. Thank you.
I was just going to say, I think the balanced budget idea is a good concept. So that would require a little bit more discussion on that, and what the parameters of that would entail. And like you said, when there's relief and they bring it to the board, and the board makes there's open discussion about what that really entails, and if there are cuts need to be made and so forth, things along those lines. So it'd be just curious, how would we have open discussion on the policy then, or who would?
I would think so. Yes, yes. Absolutely.
Okay.
You would and I think the reason what our policies do is not only help this group, it sets direction for 20 and 50 years from now. We all understand and have all worked together, and we have a superintendent we've worked and have a very comfortable working relationship with. Policies aren't usually set for right now. They're set for another day. So I think it's a very healthy discussion to have, and a draft that we can ask our superintendent to put together, or his staff to put together some words, and then we can look at it. The one comment I wanted to make after reviewing these slides before tonight and in board docs and listening to our superintendent's comments, I think this board, the Board of Education in 203, whether it's all these exact same people, about 6 years ago, put together one of the most securing aspects of the whole budget process, and that's tying our consumer price index tying our revenues with our expenses. Before that, there wasn't a natural tie, and when you're speaking about 85 or 87% of your budget, look in this particular case, CPI. If we didn't have the second half of November and December, our CPI for the year would not have been 0.8. It might have been closer to 1.2 or 1.3. This is what we have to live with. The second comment I wanted to make, just so everybody in the audience understands, I know our Board of Education is pretty familiar with this, the CPI that's set in 2014, that was set for December of 2014 of 0.8 that we have to live with, goes into the tax levy to the homeowners in 2015, but won't be resources to us as a district until 2016. So there's time to plan. And when you see some of the red on the calendar, those are projections, and there are retirements coming and a number of things that our superintendent enumerated, and that's all going to take very careful planning. So I will echo my colleagues. Thank you for doing this exercise. I think it's incredibly healthy. Nothing to be alarmed with. That's why you plan. Give time to plan.
I think a key takeaway is we are in a proactive position right here. We are able to see what projections look like, what key assumptions, how they influence those projections, and then make decisions so that we don't see those types of red numbers that we see in our projection. And I am proud of, and I appreciate comments by the board members that our focus on our spending, our dollars are going to the kids in the classrooms and to our instruction, and I think that's a huge thing for us. we may have red flags in this conversation if the money was going elsewhere. Because from that long list that you saw, those are things that impact instruction and what happens in our schools. So we will continue to be proactive. We intend to bring you a balanced budget later on this spring in June, and we'll continue that moving forward.
Great discussion. Thank you very much. Our next report.
Okay.
Facilities planning update.
A familiar face to the Board of Education, our community, is Craig Siepke from White & Company as he makes his way up to the presentation table. They're commenting on your, anyways.
Your GQ look.
Right. Elbow patches. Okay.
You know what? You can't say enough that my family hasn't.
Couple opening comments here, and then Craig and I have not rehearsed together. Craig's presented to Cabinet some information and update, and we're going to let Craig move through it. I may inject comments or my own commentary throughout the course of the conversation, but our comprehensive facilities analysis is ongoing. We're approaching a time when we'll have a report that I can present to the Board of Education in terms of a written report. But let's put a little context around what the update will include tonight. Again, back to Focus 2020. Commitment 316E calls for a facility plan that will aid the district in allocating district resources to meet the varied needs of schools and programs. Facility needs range from ongoing maintenance to facility improvements to meet the emerging needs for instruction in our classroom. So tonight, Craig and I are going to provide you with an update on the work. A couple key takeaways before we even go into this, what I hope you'll take away. This was referenced in the previous report by a board member. Our ongoing investment in our future, in our facilities, has paid off. Our facilities, when we look at comparison districts and we look at our facilities as a whole, are really in great shape. That's a testament to Steve Mathis and his crew and the work that they do with our architects to be on cycles to constantly keep our facilities in good conditions. Because of our ongoing commitment to maintaining our schools, they are safe places to learn. We'll continue to review our security standards and upgrade when appropriate. Technology and best practices constantly evolve, and we'll continue to evolve with those. Teaching and learning also continuously evolve and change, and our facilities need to be flexible and agile to support the learning. That is going to look a little bit different in each one of our schools, each one compared to the next, because they all present their own unique challenges and opportunities. And we should be able to address, we hope, we should be able to address many of the facility priorities that are contained within the report within our means as a part of our ongoing budget. So with that, let's move into the presentation and let Craig go ahead and begin. We'll begin with a little bit of a brief review, I think.
Sure. Superintendent Bridges, members of the board, and distinguished guests, thanks for having me here today. It's been a while. Am I not?
Nope, yeah.
Three blue lights, actually.
All sorts of blue.
Or maybe you need a new speaker. You might have a battery.
No? Is that okay?
Here, try this.
Okay.
There you go.
All right, here we go.
There
All
we
right.
go.
You know, I've only been doing this for, 7 years now, and sorry about that. But thanks again for having us over here. A lot of things have been happening since the last time I've been in front of you with regards to the comprehensive facility assessment. And as Superintendent Bridges indicated, just a little refresher from the last time that I was here. We've really looked at the facilities in two phases. And the first phase started back in October, actually was completed in the later half of 2013. First phase was looking at the condition of a lot of your infrastructure elements, things that you normally don't see in a building, but you feel. Students and staff that would feel the warmth, the cold, things that go into support, make really an enriching, comfortable environment, I guess, if you will. With our design team, we spread out across the district, went through each one of the facilities, and looked at the mechanical, electrical, plumbing systems. We took a very close look at the building envelope systems, including the roofs and the walls, and then just selected elements inside on the interiors that we felt were appropriate, but by no means really a comprehensive look at some of the finishes and so forth, because that's something that the district just naturally upgrades during their yearly maintenance cycles. As we did that, we took each one of the components and elements and we ranked them 0 being 0 to 4, 0 being something that we found of imminent danger, I guess, if you will, or something that would need to be taken care of immediately, all the way through to number 4, which would be just something that you need to keep a watchful eye on, what might be included in some kind of maintenance thing, but really wasn't a big ticket item or a big item that needed to be scrutinized further. I am happy to say and want to reiterate what Superintendent Bridges indicated, that there were no items on the immediately needed to be taken care of list. There was no threat to anything or any imminent failure of anything. So again, that goes to the proactive nature of the district on a yearly basis, taking a look at their buildings and making sure that they are sound, comfortable, and well taken care of for the students and the staff. But there were a number of items that did fall into the 2 and 3 category: the replacement in 2 years, replacement in 5 years, and then beyond. All those are categorized in the report that we put together. And I do have to say, I was shocked by the number of the buildings that you have and how little, though, that there really were items to be included in kind of a replacement list. So that's, again, really kudos to you and the entire
We'd given the
district.
board an update. I think it was the April 21st, 2014 meeting on that particular report. And what I recall is the majority of the work was scheduled to be completed sometime in the 6 to 10 year window. And again, that speaks volumes to the investment that we've made in the facilities to ensure that they're operating in an efficient way.
As part of this whole process, we put some conceptual budget numbers together, categorized and summarized all of those for Mr. Mathis, really to use in his yearly analysis and implementation and use for assigning budget numbers and completing work within the district. So it's a tool that is still being used and will be for the foreseeable future. And then updated accordingly, because you never know what happens with mechanical equipment and machines and so forth. So we just keep a watchful eye on things, but we feel very comfortable that everything is listed right now that needs to be taken care of, and you have a plan in place moving forward.
Great. Next slide.
So phase 2 really is the master planning process, and this was actually, we took a little different approach to this phase than we typically do with districts because of the size and, quite frankly, how well your buildings are taken care of. Instead of spanning out across the entire district and looking at curriculum things in every single one of your buildings, what we did is we selected a few key items that were identified in the future focus discussions that we had back in September of 2013. Those are listed there, safety and security being of primary importance to those that participated in that group, speaking for the community, flexibility and agility of the learning environments, followed by all-day kindergarten. The results of the exercises that we undertook as part of the future focus discussions is kind of listed there. It's been on the website for quite some time. All of those were looked at as far as this master planning goes in conjunction with the yearly maintenance items that we identified in the previous phase. So, sticking with the Phase 2 master planning, we broke that part of the process down into 2 parts. The first part was data collection. Again, with my design team members, we went out to each one of the schools to take an independent look at the facilities, walk through them with the idea of all those priorities that were identified by your community in mind. And we went ahead and listed and categorized all those, our observations. We also had the opportunity of meeting independently with each principal and his or her selected advisors and staff members. Sometimes they were PTA presidents and so forth. So we had a nice cross-section. A lot of people that we were able to meet with and walk through the buildings. We collected all that information and have that available for review. The second part is really what we've been doing since we last have been here. I have last been here in front of you, and that's really the analysis and implementation phase, which started last year, January, and it is still an ongoing process. Some of the items that we'd like to share our thoughts on today with you about our security enhancements, which really we're not going to talk about because it's part of actually just what the district naturally does as far as analyzing, maintaining their facilities. It's always been a priority here in the district, so for as long as I've been here, and I would imagine that will continue into the foreseeable future. Flexible learning environments really took probably the bulk of our efforts as far as this part of the process goes, and then we're going to wrap it up with a careful look, a little closer look at Napier and Ellsworth, Naperville North High School, and then some additional considerations for some of the facilities that you have available for curriculum and staff support throughout the district. So starting off with flexible learning environments, which was the second priority that the district or that the community identified. With the advisory group that we meet with on a regular basis, the district leadership here, we identified a number of facilities that would be able to support an experiment, I guess, sort of kicking the tires with things that we could, pertinences that we could place inside each one of the educational spaces. At selected spaces in selected facilities throughout the district. They are listed up at the top for the classroom furniture, as well as some other minor improvements. We reached out to Elmwood Elementary School, Prairie Elementary School, Madison Junior High School, and Naperville North High School, being the recent one that were just able to procure some furniture for. At Elmwood, it was the fifth grade. Help me out for a minute, Kitty. I think it was the fifth grade pod that cluster that we outfitted with a whole bunch of new furniture. Prairie Elementary School was the third grade pod. Madison, special shout out. I always have to say that to the instructor out there, Katie, who was just so enthusiastic and energetic in terms of receiving our furniture, and not only receiving it but using it. It's always exciting to go out to a classroom, because I actually went out there after the furniture was delivered, and probably within a week I was out there, and the place was a mess, and I mean a good mess. It was just, you could tell that there was a lot of energy and a lot of excitement happening in that classroom, and I'm sure it's happening to this day, knowing her. Naperville North, again, we just got the furniture out there. I think it was over Christmas, and I haven't had a chance to actually get out to the school, but that is something that I'm looking forward to do here in the very, very near future. As we went through these classrooms, the district is interviewing students, teachers, at key times, and then filming them on a video. And Dan, you might want to elaborate a little bit more on what's happening from that standpoint.
So we are trying to, in terms of looking as we move forward in creating the flexible learning environments in these prototype situations, we are, as Craig said, documenting it through interview and feedback from the kids and from the teachers and the schools. It's been interesting to watch this evolve over time, and you see the areas taking on life that you would have expected, or life that's very exciting that we didn't think of, or in some areas, so the more it moves, the better we feel, because they're using it differently. So we'll look forward, we'll be able to present to you a report regarding the overall implementation of the prototypes. Our intent really is we look forward in planning with the buildings as they need to replace their furnishings, have a standard for them, so that as they replace them and upgrade their facilities through their annual work, we'll have a prototype and we'll have selections in place that they'll be able to choose from.
And I think it's worth noting that in each one of the classrooms we tried different kinds of furniture from different vendors. Different shapes, sizes, and I guess colors, if you will. I think the immediate response that we heard from teachers and students as they were entering the school year was positive, and looking forward to hearing what they have to say now they've had a chance for about 6 months now or so to use it. So, library, media centers was the second category, and 2 schools that we were able to provide some opportunities over with regards to furniture was BB Elementary School and Jefferson Junior High School. That was in a response to, really a component of school design that's really receiving a lot of attention right now, and that is, what you do with libraries and how that's all evolving and changing. And I think Mr. Jens, you had elaborated on that at one point, way back when, a board meeting that I was at. So. So far, reaction seems to be very positive. Those are a little bit more involved, as you can imagine, because of the space and the size and the different kinds of furniture that we're dealing with over there. But we're going to keep close watch on that, as well as the classrooms as we move forward and try to figure out what is the best fit for the district in terms of equipping the rest of your libraries. That brings us to Napier and Ellsworth, and just to take a little closer look at each one of those facilities, both of them being the smallest facilities at elementary schools that you have in the district. I don't think that's much of a surprise to you, but again, we took a look at these two schools in a closer way, simply because of the size and some of the challenges and as well as opportunities that you have at each one of those facilities. Over at Ellsworth, the vintage character is something that we kind of identified as a positive for the school. You can't get away from the charming quality that it has, its presence in its neighborhood. Certainly the location makes it that way. However, I think as much as an opportunity and a benefit that is, there are some challenges with that. It is extremely tight as far as the site goes. The site plan that you see up here identifies the building, the footprint of the building on the site, and that dashed line that goes around the building is really the setback lines that that anybody, architects and the school district is obligated to remain within. So you can see as you look at that, and if you are experiencing some kind of constraints, there's going to be limited opportunities of pushing out and reclaiming some square footage. There has been a number of additions over the years. And you can see as you do that, you encroach on the hard surface play, some of the playground equipment and so forth. So it's just something to be aware of, I guess, if you will. There is also, as identified with our structural engineer, limited opportunities for building up if you wanted ever to do anything there. So we are really kind of boxed in as far as that school goes, as far as the footprint. Accessibility is also another issue that we identified that you're very well aware of, that you struggle with over at that facility. There are some educational functions happening on some of the half levels that you have in the building, and because of that, it's kind of difficult to get access for ADA purposes and so forth. Things can be done, but and we'll look at that a little bit more closely as we move forward, but it is going to be a pretty big challenge for us to consider on any kind of improvements or upgrades at that facility. One of the things that we identified and looked at across the district were the operational costs of the building. And so what we did is we took the utility costs that you spend in each one of the buildings and compared to the rest of the facilities in the district, the operational costs are higher than you have certainly at your newer buildings, but even some of the older buildings as well. You're spending more per square foot than you do around the district. It again is a reflection of the age of the facility and the infrastructure components that are in place that quite frankly need to be in place because of the constraints that you have in the building. So does anybody have any questions about Ellsworth? Maybe this is a nice time to...
You said it's not possible to go up. Is that because of the structure of the building or because of the zoning and the neighborhood?
Well, that's a good question. It's a combination of both. There are some constraints that we have with the existing foundations and footings, and I don't think you've tapped out on the height of the building just quite yet, but you're coming very close. And again, one of the challenges, the positives of the building is the age, and the character. But again, not only just expanding of the footprint outward, but upward is going to be a challenge because of the fact that it was built in the early half of the...
What it's going to require us to do is just look differently at how we use the space within the building.
Yeah.
Do you know how many it was built for when it was first built?
Ooh,
in 1928. I was just curious. Just curious as we looked at it. How many people, students it was built for in 1928? I was just curious. It's not a big, it's just...
That might be in the record somewhere, but...
Thank you. Any questions about Ellsworth?
It's not a question for him. It's more of a question. I know we're going to be getting the enrollment things in the future, but does it seem like I know it's pretty packed right now. I think, is the population 282 or something like that, or 287?
So we'll report more in depth, and I don't want to speak too far ahead of myself.
I get that.
In both of the Ellsworth and Napier, relatively stable population, right about where we're at. Potential uptick in the Napier area. If I'm looking at Kitty just to confirm what I'm saying. We're actually meeting, staff is meeting with Dr. Coffrin tomorrow to continue to look at his report, but we should have more information on that in March. But population will remain.
One more thing that is actually worth noting over at Ellsworth, and the same thing over at Napier, is the types of spaces that you have available for the children. In the majority of your elementary schools, you have multi-purpose rooms, certainly art rooms and so forth. Those do not exist really at either school. And especially when you start talking about a multi-purpose room, that's a pretty big volume space. Where you fit that on the site becomes a really huge challenge, especially here at Ellsworth.
But the multipurpose rooms is more of a function of age, right? Because at the time the buildings were designed, it was never anticipated that such a space would need to exist.
Absolutely.
Everybody went home for lunch.
Yeah,
Kids
absolutely.
Went,
Yeah. Or ate in the rooms, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Walked uphill there, uphill back. Any other questions on Ellsworth? Great.
Okay, Napier, we have the same list of items that we would respond to, and because the fact of the matter is the building is roughly the same age as Ellsworth, where, some of the same challenges do exist. The location, it can't be beat, right downtown there. I mean, that's just incredible. You do have a little bit more land over here, though, to expand and to push out if you needed to do that. Certainly not in the front and the back, but off to the north. You could see, you have some, you have your playground, hard surface play, and then some grassy area that is available for expansion if needed. Going up is really not possible. Again, same situation that we had over at Ellsworth. Some of the facilities that are absent over at Ellsworth, again, could be applied. Same thinking could be applied over here at Napier, as well as the accessibility concerns and the operational costs. Again, very similar construction to Ellsworth, and challenged as far as from the operational cost standpoint. We took a look at Naperville North High School as part of this study as well. And just to point out, over the course of the last several years, certainly I think I could say since we finished up Naperville Central, there have been a series of upgrades and projects that have occurred on a very quiet scale over at Naperville North. Some of those are listed. The most significant ones are listed over here in that sort of that top paragraph area. Science lab renovations, which has been an ongoing project for the district, and we are doing a couple more again this coming summer. Mechanical equipments, pieces of equipment have been upgraded over the course of the last several years. LED lighting, music department renovations, food lab renovations. One of the things that you could see a little bit more extensively is the exterior envelope replacement. That's really the softened area around the perimeter of the building. And
someone who's watching, or maybe, can you explain just a little bit more about what that is?
How about me who's sitting here?
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
The sort of the tan sort of
Facade.
facade that you have, not the masonry, but it's
Right.
it's really an EFA system has been replaced over the top of the building. It's really right where the walls and the roof intersect. So.
And that's why it's called envelope?
It's part of the building envelope.
Oh, okay.
So there's some insulation involved and some cladding material on the outside of the building that just kind of refreshes the appearance a little bit. Along with some roofing replacement, and then certainly athletic field improvements is something that has been happening on a gradual basis over at the school. In conjunction with those improvements, we've also identified certain areas based on our conversations and observations that we've had at the school that might be something you want to take a little closer look at moving forward. And that would really be the main entrance, and always welcoming the community, the students, and from a security standpoint, that's always something that is worth taking a look at. Providing enhancements in that regard. The Library Media Center, we've talked a little bit about that earlier on. Certainly that same kind of thinking. would apply to what we could do at the library over here in the high school level. Mobile classrooms, there's quite a few of them in the back of the building, 6 of them in total. So we've had some conversations about ways to eliminate that or remove those and include the functions that happen in those temporary units inside the building proper. Health and wellness spaces, both on the first and second floor. Looking at the efficiency and use of those spaces, how those could be leveraged for the students, the benefit of the students, the weight area in particular, as well as the locker rooms down on the first floor. And then lastly, just a general finish upgrade across the entire facility to provide some kind of continuity, kind of a refresher, I guess, refreshing environment for the students from a cosmetic standpoint. Where can we really leverage those types of materials and finishes to the benefit of the students as well as the community.
I think the exciting thing that we've been talking about is the amount of work and renovations that maybe you don't necessarily see that have been going on, but taking place in terms of upgrading the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, some of the behind-the-wall things to where some of the systems are as new as our newer schools in the district. And that's again, that long-term investment that we're making in the facilities to ensure that they're operating in an efficient manner. So great work.
And then lastly, there are a number of other facilities and items that we just took a quick look at, providing some options to think about moving forward. And that was really the mobile classrooms. Elsewhere throughout the district, there are a number of facilities that have some mobile classrooms out in the back. And, again, in the same vein, the same spirit of what we looked at over at Naperville North, trying to include some of those functions inside the building. We are doing that at a few of the facilities. The transportation building and some of the office space that they have available there is an item that we were requested to take a look at and see if we could provide some upgrades for those spaces. High school athletics, we did meet independently with each one of the athletic directors from both Naperville Central as well as Naperville North. Took a tour of their facilities, had a very robust conversation about some of their desires, their needs, and their wants. And then lastly, really taking a look at the Fifth Avenue property and ways that facility could be improved and renovated to help support not only the administration functions that happen here at PSAC throughout the district, but how also that could affect the community involvement and usage of your facilities moving into the future.
And a growing need for us is looking at our Connections program, our Adult Transitions program. We're expecting larger enrollment in that program and the need for maybe not necessarily more space, some more space, but better defined space on how the space is used within what we have. So currently that's one of the functions that we house out at the Fifth Avenue property. So that's beginning to become a more and more pressing need for us.
In every instance, we've taken a look at the plans just to try to understand them a little better. And the diagram that you have over here is of Fifth Avenue. It's by no means anything that's concrete, but it really gives us a better handle on the available square footage and potentially what could happen out there. It's just an idea that we're throwing around right now.
Some of the big needs are large training spaces, professional space for professional learning. When we bring large groups together, whether it be during the summer or during the school year, we're often using outside spaces. DePaul, we were at a couple churches recently, so to be able to eliminate that cost and just have a facility within the district, I think would be a benefit to us. Another thing that we've just been talking about both in this building and there is the need for, as we're talking about flexibility in the learning environment in the classroom, flexibility in terms of our work functions in this building right now. This is designed as mostly a traditional independent workspace building. You work independently in your office, and I think those of you that know this team, we collaborate quite a bit and need the opportunity, the ability to, I think, improve our functionality by increasing our collaboration space.
It's really actually even important to point out the more flexibility that you have in your environments the better off you're going to be, the more proactive you can be as a district in terms of adjusting to, the way you're delivering education and what's happening as that really evolves in a very robust and ongoing dynamic way.
So just kind of in closure here and what we've been looking at, again, with community priorities shown off to the side here, as we continue to build our budget, we're going to continue to target for the annual maintenance facility improvements of about $7 million, which has been recent history. And within that, we would include that those annual maintenance things that we typically do, some of which we're bringing for approval this evening. Looking at security enhancements and what we can do at some of our facilities. Again, we have a standard that all of our buildings meet regarding entry, but how can we, as best practices evolve and as technologies evolve, how can we enhance some of those, some of our operations with that? Transformation of the learning environment and some of these other spaces. So again, we're nearing the completion of the report from Craig, and look forward to presenting the document to you upon its end, and I think we're ready for questions at this time.
Questions, comments? I just had one question as I went through here, and Craig, you talked about it a couple of times. With the enrollment changes, do you foresee that there won't be a need for portables, or we certainly won't put more money into them and purchase new ones? They're expensive. You know, they're not an inexpensive fit, and we certainly needed them 20 years ago, and we're popping them up all over.
Yeah, I'm going to reserve that comment until
Okay.
maybe we look a little bit at a little bit more in depth on the enrollment projections.
Fair enough.
And some of our mobiles, we probably could. They either house a district program, or one of the mobiles houses an outside program that serves kids after school. So there are things that I think we can look at to begin to eliminate them. But Naperville North, for example, I think the last room utilization study we did, they were about 90% use of the rooms.
I think it was 89%.
And
yes.
the target, Craig, is
About 80 to 85%.
about 80 to 85. So
The rooms were, or the portables were? The portables we used?
The rooms.
The rooms were.
The room
Oh.
utilization schedule. Very
so
little
it's maxed out.
flexibility.
Yeah.
It's close to maxed out beyond what is recommended for its use. So
Got it.
even if we get some relief in enrollment at that site,
I see.
we're just going to kind of get down to the standard where we should be.
Good, thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Just to thank you for the comprehensiveness and the detail in this, and I look forward to the copy that we'll get, and I'm just excited to see how it will guide us going forward.
Thank you so much. We all know we all learn differently, and the places where we learn are different at all the schools, and I think that's part of the beauty of our school community. So thank you so much. Thank you, Craig. Oh,
Thanks, guys.
Kristen? I'm sorry.
Just a clarification. So, just a clarification. So, this is not yet our recommendations. This is where you expect things to be, but you will have additional recommendations when we have the report, or is this the actual recommendation that we will continue to have the annual maintenance facility
Right.
improvements, and that they'll be ordered in this area 1,
Right.
2, 3?
This is the
These
order
are the
of March.
recommendations.
This is the order of March, but there will be a report forthcoming.
That has additional details. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Craig.
Okay, thank you. Good night.
I'm sorry. I do not have a report this evening. I think there might be one of Board of Education report. Donna?
I just wanted to highlight Kennedy Junior High's cultural diversity celebration that they had on Friday, February 6th, because it wasn't just an event for Kennedy Junior High, but it was a community event. There were 400 people there, and it was planned by their SFCP committee, but it was really great for me to see Naperville North and Naperville Central students involved at Kennedy, along with staff from those two buildings as well. So it was a huge community celebration of cultural diversity. They also, fed into some of our business partnerships, and they had 13 different outside organizations that came in and contributed as well. So I just thought it was such a community event more than it was just a Kennedy event, and I think that kudos to them for pulling all those things together
Great.
and making it such a wonderful evening.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you very much. You will notice the monthly reports are in board docs. Bills and monthly reports, treasury report, investments, insurance report, and budget report for your review. And our next item, our consent agenda.
Jackie, I have a board report too.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I should have given you a heads up. I just wanted to report to the board that I have been working, like last year, with IASB on the reintroduction of the mandate legislation that our board helped to come up with the idea for through the process the year before last.
Right.
That bill has been reintroduced, SB 671. The IASB is producing some great documents. If anybody's interested in them, they're like a side-by-side of current law and what happens for municipalities as well as what happens for schools. So it really makes it evident what kinds of things would be helpful for us and what kinds of things, where things apply for cities and not for us. And that bill will be reported, the deadline for reporting that bill out will be, I think, at the end of March. So we'll have to, work a little bit with the bill sponsor and, to try to, at the previous year, there were some concerns by the Illinois State Board of Education. So working to try to determine a process where the IASB can assist in helping schools provide actual documentation of how much mandates cost. So that's what the intent is, and the hope is to help schools provide to their legislators in a real-time way what a mandate will cost. So just we'll work on the details of how that gets formulated, but that's the intent, and the bill was sponsored, and hopefully it will move this year. I think they are considering it to be complementary to the Vision 2020. So maybe as a part of that.
Maybe it'll get some legs
Maybe.
there, right?
You never know. So anyways,
Thank you very much. Donna?
I have one more, sorry. I also wanted to remind everybody, I was going to do it with calendar, but I'll forget. So NEF has their Yucks for Youth coming up on February 28th, and it's at North Central College, and tickets can be purchased online. But NEF is the organization that supports a lot of our programs, our breakfast program and after-school health program for students, and a lot of the grants, and the grants are due shortly as well for the teachers. So,
Awesome. Yes, it'll be a great, always a great evening in a great venue at Wentz Hall. Okay, we will move on to the consent agenda, and our board representative for bills and claims is Terry Fielder.
Is anything going to be pulled?
Nope.
Okay. All right, then. Let's get right to the motion. For bills and claims, I move approval of warrant number 395918 through warrant number 396670, totaling $17,371,955.94 for the period of January 21st, 2015 to February 17th, 2015. And items 8.02 through 8.08 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Ms. Bell, please.
Romberg?
Yes.
Fitzgerald?
Aye.
Waukee?
Yes.
Yench?
Aye.
Pratty?
Yes.
Price?
Yes.
Fielden?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. And our superintendent has an announcement.
And with that action by the Board of Education, I have an introduction to make to the community, and I ask that Ryan DeBora please stand. All right, we can clap for him, and then I'll tell you why we're clapping. I am pleased to introduce Ryan DeBora, who will be the next principal at Maplebrook Elementary School. Ryan has been in the district since 2003, where he began as a 8th grade mathematics and social science teacher at Lincoln Junior High School. He's also been a project manager in the district, and most recently the assistant principal at Kennedy Junior High School. Ryan has a bachelor's degree from Michigan State University, a master's degree in elementary education from National Louis University, and a master's in school improvement leadership from Olivet Nazarene University. And we're excited to welcome him into this role. With Dr. Bachman here, I'm sure there will be a very smooth transition. So while we're thankful for Dr. Bachman and hate to see her go, pleased to have Ryan stay with us and take the next step in leadership. So Ryan, congratulations on behalf of the administration and the Board of Education. We look forward to leading with you, and it looks like maybe you brought somebody with you who's going to play an important support role for you in your success. So, Ryan.
All right. Yes, I would like to say thank you to the board for this opportunity. I'd like to acknowledge my wife, Megan, and actually my principal, Brian Valek, for his support also during this, when I was pursuing this opportunity. Throughout my time in the district here, and especially during these last several weeks, I've heard nothing but great things about the dedicated staff, the supportive parents, and also the wonderful children at Maplebrook. So I look forward to becoming part of that community soon. Thank you in advance to Dr. Bachman as we work through this transition. I'm 100% committed to Kennedy, but obviously during the next few months, we'll have an opportunity to work together to ensure a smooth transition. So thank you again to the board, and thank you to our district administration for this opportunity. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And we have a couple, nothing without action this evening. We have a few with action. And the first one would be the draft 2016-2017 calendar.
We'll let Kane go right ahead with it.
All right. I don't know that I have much to add from what's in board docs with the cover memo and the recommendation that the board adopt what was at the January 20th meeting called version 2. That's the version of the calendar that distinguishes from the other version by starting the winter break on the 23rd of December and having that break go through the 6th of January so that school resumes on the 9th of January in the following year. I mentioned in the memo that at the time I had gotten 2 emails. Each response favored the different version. I've gotten 5 or 6 emails since then from parents, and actually most of them favored version 2. The version that's before you. And that seems to be where most of the feedback has gone. They're both perfectly good calendars, but I think the feedback from parents largely, but also other stakeholders, was that this is the way to go, and that's why we're recommending it to you.
And Kane, since our last board meeting, you met with Home and School, which just so people on the World Wide Web, I know there's thousands watching, they would understand that that collective group are representatives from all of our buildings, and in a number of cases, they co-share presidency, so you get that many more parents thinking and understanding what the community, what those school needs are. So,
absolutely. We had
perfect.
a dedicated time for Q&A and written feedback from them.
Great. Awesome. I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Question? Okay. Oh, all right.
It's not a motion. It's a comment. I have a comment.
Oh, comment. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, it's no action.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we're going to vote tonight, yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. You can ask your question now or ask
No,
it
it's just a
when
comment,
motion.
actually, on the formatting.
Uh-huh.
Because I keep on hearing the same thing, everybody's, we call them emergency days, snow days, cold days. We went from not mentioning it on the calendar, then putting it in capitals, and then putting it in bold, and now it's in red bold.
Yeah.
So it's getting better and better. But I still hear, I didn't know about that. What would be the thought about, on the last day, whatever it is, last potential day of school, actually putting that on the calendar with a red circle or something saying last potential day of school, or pointing it out even more, because so many people look at that circle and go, I'll just plan my vacation right after that.
And we've been taking every communication opportunity we have in live to remind us. There was a conversation we had with Home and School. Remember, our school year is inclusive of those 5 days that we waive if we don't need them, as opposed to adding if we do need them.
And I think if we put some kind of thing on the calendar portion of it, that would help even more.
Great suggestion.
Mm-hmm. And truly, our districts in DuPage County have done all sorts of things. They're adding on, there were schools that went to school yesterday, and very disruptive to families because they decided that 2 weeks in advance after the cold days to get them in. So I really do like the thoughtfulness that goes into this, but at the end, add them on at the end. But anything that can help people understand the end is the end. We have to go through all of our school days.
And gentlemen, I am aware of the forecast for Thursday.
Yeah, there were questions.
I'm well aware.
Any other questions? Oh, cold day.
Really cold day. Is it important
School.
for cold?
It must be very cold, yeah.
I will tell you that I have looked at it since you've asked, and currently it does not fall in a danger zone. It will be cold, but it does not fall in a zone that would put our students' safety at risk.
So get your homework done, gentlemen.
We will continue to monitor the conditions.
Any other comments?
I will make a
calendar?
motion to
Great.
approve item 10.01, the draft 2016-2017 school calendar.
Second.
Great. We have a motion and a second for the draft 2016-27 calendar. Any other comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Crotty?
Yes.
Fieldin?
Yes.
Romberg?
Yes.
Wanke? Yes. Yench?
Aye.
Fitzgerald?
Aye.
Price?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Next agenda item, high school course fees.
At our last meeting, Assistant Superintendent for Secondary Education Bob Ross presented to the Board of Education recommendations for high school course fees for next year. And then I think he wants to comment on something that he looked a little bit closer at after conversation last time. So Bob, I think, go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, I wanted to come back and report. We had several questions at the last meeting about one of our course fee proposals. And I have to tell you, I made a mistake. I apologize for that. I mistakenly listed a course that is a semester course as a full year course. So when the proposed cost appeared to go from currently $40 to $70 a year, that caught some attention. Really, the proposed fee is for the current fee is $20. It's proposed to go up to $35, and this is for our advanced placement government course. So the proposed increase of $15 covers an increase in the cost of a book we use, an AP prep book, and also some software that goes along, or it's actually a website license called Cengage, an online resource, and that accounts for the requested increase from $20 per semester to $35 per semester.
Thank you for that clarification. Comments and questions?
I move approval of high school course fees as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for high school course fees. Ms. Bell, please.
Yench.
Aye.
Price.
Yes.
Fitzgerald. Aye. Romberg.
Yes.
Fielden.
Yes.
Wanke. Yes. Crotty. Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Last discussion with item this evening, general and optional fees.
Also at our last Board of Education meeting, Brad Kaufman presented to the board recommendations for general and optional fees for the coming school year. Brad, do we have any additional information to report this evening? So we'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Comments, questions?
I move approval of general and optional fees as presented.
We have a motion and a second for general and optional fees. Any additional comments or questions? Ms. Bell, please.
Fitzgerald. Aye. Wanke. Yes. Fielden.
Yes.
Romberg.
Yes.
Yench.
Aye.
Crotty. Yes. Price.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. And our next, coming to the close of the meeting, schedule of events. Donna Wanke mentioned Yucks for Youth on the 28th, and you can look through quickly look into the spring calendar, all of a sudden, the spring schedule and all the busyness of spring in a large district like this. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Just real quickly, since I promised we would keep everybody updated, at halftime at 8:06 p.m.
Oh, my goodness.
Bob Ross reports that it was Naperville Central 26, Naperville North 22 at halftime, but I imagine we're well into probably the beginning of the fourth quarter by now, so I apologize for that.
What if I T-voted? Before my motion to adjourn, or I'm sorry, motion to adjourn would be great. Can we have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. And we will look forward to seeing everyone on Monday night, March 2nd. We're back on Monday nights. Thank you very much.
No football.